Hey guys, we're going to look at sentence structure and the similarities and differences between simple and compound sentences. I've borrowed someone's whiteboard from a different video, so let's take a look at what we have. So in both the simple and the compound sentence, both sentence structures are made up of the independent clause. The difference between them is that the simple sentence is going to have one clause and the compound will have two or more independent clauses. Okay? There are no dependent clauses in a simple or a compound sentence. They are strictly independent, and the difference is that a simple is one, a compound is more than one. My friend's whiteboard, he states that simple sentences are choppy, whereas compound sentences are more flowing. Yes and no. I mean, you can add a lot of detail to a simple sentence, so it just depends, but for the most part, this is true. Okay, so the definition and just looking at the structure here, it is pretty simple and it's pretty cut and dry. But what happens is students tend to overlook the different types of simple sentences that you can have. So looking at this whiteboard, the new one, this really breaks it down into the possibilities of types of simple sentences that there are. For example, first up, you can just have a subject and a verb. An example of that kind of sentence would be, Johnny eats. In the next example, you can have two subjects with one verb. And an example of this could be, Johnny and Jim eat. Notice that come on down here, the asterisk here represents a conjunction. And we'll go over in more detail, but your conjunctions, a good way to remember them is fanboys, and that stands for and, nor, but, or, yet, or so. So you would join those two subjects with a fanboy, Johnny and Jim. Eat, one verb. The next one is a subject and then two verbs, where you have what's called compound predicates. I hope you remember that from last year. Johnny eats and plays. And now you have a compound predicate. And then we can put two subjects and two predicates together and still have a simple sentence. Johnny and Jim eat and play. I know these are very simplified. However, any version of this would still remain as a simple sentence. And what I like about this chart is that if you'll, let's bring the arrow up here. If you come straight down, you can see a complete division between all of the subjects are on one side, clearly on one side, and all of the verbs or predicates are clearly on the other. When you have that division, you have a simple sentence. Okay, so let's look at the compound sentence side and look at the difference. A compound would be a subject and verb on one side, joined by a common conjunction, and then a subject and verb on the other side. So, an example compound sentence would be, Johnny eats, comma, but he does not play. There you would have Johnny eats as your subject verb on this side, and then you have your comma conjunction would be but. The subject for this side would be he, and then does play on this side. not is not a verb, so you would not include that on the verb. But there's a clear difference between all subjects on one side, all predicates on the other, whereas in the compound side, you have subject-verb and then subject-verb. Now, there's another way to join compound sentences, and it is really cool, and that's by the semicolon. So here you would need to use sentences that really belong together, that they were meant to be together. So you would do Johnny eats, semicolon, he does not play, period. And that would make all one sentence combined as a compound sentence. Okay, so to wrap up, you've got several different ways to make simple sentences. We can use the coordinating conjunctions or the fanboys to join them in various places. So don't be confused when you see one of the fanboys in a sentence. You have to have a subject and verb on the right side of a comma conjunction, and then that will make your compound sentence.